We'll start with last week. You had 13 days off from your last game, no FA Cup match. You decided to take the players away to Tenerife. Some of them have described it as a hard-working, intense camp. What was it like for you as the boss? Did you get what you wanted out of it?
I think yes, it was an intensive time, but I think we needed it because, we are still on the line, and I think we have a hard way to go until the end. And so it was important to use the time where we had the chance to speak with every player, show him what was good until now and was not so good. We took a lot of points until now, but you see, it's the same amount of points we need until the end of the season, because we will need 40 points maybe this year to stay in the league. And I think therefore it was important to get a reminder and to speak about things we just improved in our game and about things that can be better in the future for all the different challenges we are facing in the next weeks against top teams or teams in our zone. So I think we showed that we can take points against the big teams, but also lose points against the small teams. And I think it's important that for the end of the season we have a plan for every game, and that's what we try to prepare in this week.
And in terms of the training camp, how important is it at this stage of the season with 12 games to go that you get together with your players, you learn more about them, they learn more about you and your philosophy? Was that key?
The first key was after the disappointing game, we don't want to look back, that we get a new spirit again in our team. It was, I think, a good time to work there in a good atmosphere. It would be easier if we had won the last game, but it wasn't, and so maybe the focus was a little bit higher also from the players, and that's maybe the advantage, because they know we have to do more. We know we have to bring more on the pitch, like we did in the last 3 games, and so it was easier for me to be critical sometimes. And maybe this can help us in the last 12 games.
You touched upon the 40-point mark. Is that the target you have set your players between now and the end of the season? That's what you feel will keep them in the Premier League?
I think we all know that 24 are not enough. So every point we take more is a good one. But no, we are focusing now on the next game against a difficult opponent, a very good opponent. We just beat once in this year in a big game with a fantastic performance, and I think we should need another one. And I'm not afraid about all the big teams that are following now, because we showed against Chelsea and against Arsenal, then we can also play against these teams good matches, and we will need, that's for sure.
You talk about replicating that performance against Arsenal this weekend. How big a challenge is it to do what you've already done against a very difficult and a good side?
Every game is difficult, but I think in the first game we showed that we can bring this surprising result. We showed that we were defending very well. I think that's the key part against these teams. They played different, like the last 3 opponents we had in the league. Maybe we don't have so much ball possession. I don't know. We are not 100% sure in what shape they will come, and we also have a few changes in our mind, what we do with our team. So it would be interesting also tactically, I think.
In terms of tactically, how do you approach a game like this? Because obviously Arsenal have so much quality going forward. Aubameyang and Lacazette have got goals recently, but defensively they look frail. Is that something you can exploit?
I think we saw in the first game that they don't need a lot of chances to score. It was 2 times in the first game. But it's also a quality now from us. I think we showed that in the away games, since I'm here, we only lost against Cardiff, and in the other away games we could keep good results always. And I think it would be a good mixture between defensive balance and also win the balls and transition forward, a quick transition forward that can also create problems for Arsenal, like we did in the first game. but it will be interesting because every manager is always looking for changes if something doesn't work, and so we do both. And let's have a look who has the better decisions on the weekend.
What's the Southampton team news ahead of the game?
Yeah, we have a few players back in training. So Michael Obafemi trained the whole 2 weeks with the team. It seems that this injury is gone and has no muscle problems anymore. That helps us because it's another option we have in the front, and mainly with his speed and his quality, he's a good option for me. Mario Lemina still don't train with the team. He has still problems, but it's getting better and better. And Stewie Armstrong is also back on the pitch. Has no problems this 2 weeks. And Danny Ings is still out, so it would take a little bit more time. The Arsenal game is too early for Man United or Fulham. Can be close. I expect him coming back to the Tottenham game.
So Danny's another week or two away.
Yes.
You touched upon Michael Obafemi there. He signed a new contract this week, a 3.5-year deal. Obviously, someone that's come through the system at Southampton. It's all about the Southampton way. How important was it to secure him on a new deal, and how much does he offer to the club moving forward?
I think the first important thing is that he's fit again. That's important for him because after his goal against Huddersfield, it was a long time now he was out. For a young player, it's very important that he is always playing and gets the chance to show that he developed his game. He had a few qualities that can really be a weapon for us. His speed and also his deep runs. And it's good that he's back. It's good that the new contract is now signed and he can concentrate 100% on his work and on his professionality. And I think that's important for him because he's a young player and still a lot of work to do with him. But I hope that he stays focused like he was in the last 4 or 5 weeks since he was injured.
Talking about him coming through the academy, immediately fans, the media and people will draw conclusions and attention to him as a product of the system. You look at the likes of Gareth Bale and Theo Walcott and Oxlade-Chamberlain. Do you think he can be one of the greats down the line if he carries on his progression?
I don't want to put this pressure on him because it doesn't help him. I think the main part for the younger players is that they don't feel pressure. They are open-minded and they are very positive if they go in the game because they don't think they can lose something. They only think they can win something, and I think we should try to keep this low pressure on them. I don't expect too much from them, but what I expect is that they work hard and if they get the chance to play, that they are brave and show that they try to do their best on the pitch, and I think that's the most important thing. And he shouldn't look or think about what big players this club has sent in the world of football, but. Sure, he has potential to be a striker that can create problems for the opponents, and I think I'm looking forward. If he stays fit, then he can develop his game in a good way, I think.
Thank you.
Well, Ralph, before the Cardiff game, you told us you really wouldn't want to face your Southampton team. They were looking so good. So, having had some time to reflect, to analyse, what went wrong against Cardiff?
I think we needed so much energy to put this game away. I don't want to blob it up again, and I think it's better now. I think in both games against Cardiff, a lot of things went against us, and I think it was very hard to understand why we lost this game, because we had more chances. We came back, and then I think the most positive thing was that this team wanted to win this game in the last 3 minutes, although it was not the cleverest or smartest way to go after the draw. It means especially against an opponent, but what is in your zone, in your area. But we spoke about this. I took out the positive thing that we have a team that always wants to win games, and we should have won a little more. But there were also playing games, for example, like this one against Leicester, where we won one man less, 55 minutes. You must not win this game, but we did. So over the whole season, you see that there are games you should have won, but didn't, and you mustn't won, but you did. So I think at the end of the season, we look on the table, and then we get what we deserve to get. And if it's enough, then we deserve to stay in the league. And if it's not enough, then we didn't deserve it.
And the Arsenal game at home came before your first full week of training. Having had now 2 full weeks of training, how is that? Are you in particularly good shape going into this one?
So what we are 6-4 now. I don't know. I think it mustn't be an advantage that they play on Thursday evening, and we didn't. But we know that to take something in the Emirates Stadium is far away from being easy. So, but we don't think about that. I think we know that we can be an opponent in an away game that is not easy to beat. That we showed, I think, in the last away games, and that's the only thing that interests us. That we can be a strong opponent, that we can maybe take another clean sheet in London. So we did against Chelsea, and that can be a key for a good game for us.
You mentioned the one-to-one meetings you had in Tenerife again. Did everyone react to those the way you wanted? Were you pleasantly surprised at all with reactions you saw in training straight after that?
I think one or the other personal meeting was a little bit surprising, because you get a good feeling for the personal feeling of every player, and it's important that I get this feedback for how he sees his development, or how positive or negative he sees his development, and I think that helps me to find the right words in the future for him to make him a better player. And for this, I think it was very interesting for me.
Just finally, you sort of mentioned 40 points. Started last month, you mentioned you wanted 8 more wins to be safe. You've had 2. Is the target then still 6 more?
I don't know. It can be possible that we need this much wins, or we take a few more draws. I think it's important that we consistently take the points. And I can't tell you how much we need after these next 4 games. The more, the better. But we are focusing on the first game now against Arsenal. I think to make step by step this way is the best way to not look too much on the table, not look too much on the other opponents, what they took on points. We know that there are 6 teams now battling for one position, but also Fulham is not so far away, and we play on next Wednesday against Fulham. So it is a close, it is a tight run, but I think at the end of the season we have a chance to come out of this area, but it can take until the last game.
Right, end that section there and move on to the one embargo for 10:30 this evening. Adam?
Sure. Arsenal and Man United, Tottenham coming up look hard games, but they're teams that the style in which they play, where they attack you, seems to suit your team better than the teams that come and just defend against you. Is that a fair assessment, do you think?
If you say that, I don't know. We showed that when we are good organized, it's not so easy to score against us. I think that's for sure. But again, these teams have so much quality; they don't need a lot of chances, so it's always difficult to play against them. But we are not frightened about any opponent in the moment. I think the confidence in the team is a good one. Although we didn't win now the last 3 games, but we also lost only 1 in 2019. So it's okay that we have self-confidence, but it's also important that we know that small small mistakes can make a huge difference between winning points or not. And that was the key message, I think, in the last 2 weeks, that in some situations in the game it's nothing about tactic or shape or searching for a transition forward, but about keeping the clean sheet, defending like a team in the last 5 minutes, be smart, and in the overtime don't take any risk anymore. And I think this we try to create this scenario also in the training, and it's important because I think we gave in the last 2 games big points away in this time, and we shouldn't in the future.
Do you think, sort of following on from that your players are better when they sort of have this underdog mentality? You mentioned Leicester, a game that you wouldn't expect them to win, they did. You mentioned Arsenal, you wouldn't expect them to win, they did. The games at home, when they've had a lot of pressure on them that you do expect them to win, they failed to win. So is that a mental block or a mental positive? I don't know, one or the other.
I don't know if everyone expected that we win all these games at home against Cardiff and Crystal Palace. Maybe the chance was there, but against Crystal Palace it was a very tough game. Normally we were in the back, and then it was not so easy to come back. But sometimes I think the patience is more if you know you play against a very good team, because nobody expects something from you, and it helps to stay calm. 0-0 is a good result for you. As long as it's 0-0, everything is okay. If it's 0-0 against Cardiff, everyone is thinking it's too less. Yeah, so that's maybe the difference, and maybe that helps us against the bigger teams. That can be possible. Yeah.
In terms of Michael Obafemi, we spoke about him, Mark asked about him, sort of where he can progress to in the future, but obviously you really, especially without Danny Ings, probably need him to be able to perform very well right now. Do you think he's capable of leading your attack during a very high pressure situation like now, even though he's only very young?
The high pressure situation is not the problem, I think. The problem for Michael is if we have, like we do now, 3 games in a week in 6 days, because the schedule is a crazy one. Now we have 3 games in 6 days, and then maybe again a long time off because the Watford game is cancelled, and then again maybe 3 games in a week. So it's that's the main problem, I think, because he's also a player who is a type of player who sprints a lot, and this player sometimes for this player it's difficult to play 3 games in a week. Danny Ings was the same problem, I think, and that's we have a look. We want to, or we have to pay attention about. Don't hunt him now in every game, because we need him, or he has quality we need. So we will try to give him that time to play that is good for him, and not too much.
The schedule there, in some ways, do you think it penalises the smaller teams in the league? Because obviously your squad is not quite as deep as, say, Arsenal's and Man United's. They can afford to rotate. You don't really have that luxury.
No, I think our squad is also as big that we can change a few positions, and I think we showed mainly after the Derby game, for example, that we can play a good game on the weekend after 120 minutes in the FA Cup. So I think we are physically now in another shape, as in the beginning of my management time. So the last 2 weeks helped us to also rise our physical strength, I think, and so I'm not afraid about that. Maybe Arsenal has bigger quality on every position and options in the second row, maybe more than we have. But it's only interesting on that one day when we face them, who has more patience and more passion to win this game. And I think I'm sure that my team gives everything they have on this important game.
Come up against Aubameyang in Germany. Is stopping him a big part of your game plan for the weekend?
I think the same question came before the last game, and I said, okay, and it was you, huh? Okay. It comes from that corner. That was the only thing I could imagine.
That's the dark corner.
And I said we have to stop him as a team. I think we did it so well that we lost Mkhitaryan out of our eyes. So he was the guy who scored twice. So maybe we should have a look on both now. No, it's always very difficult to stop these players because they have a lot of quality. And especially at home, they are very strong in their offense. But I and also my players, I think they like that challenge or that kind of challenge, and I'm looking forward to a very interesting game.
You mentioned the challenge, and Adam sort of touched on it. But do you think these type of games bring out the best in your players against the best team?
Should be that it comes out the best, like we showed against Chelsea, especially in the defense. A very organized, a very good balanced, a very passionate performance. I think that would help us a lot.
That was your last clean sheet, wasn't it? I mean,
Yeah, that's why I'm speaking about that all the time.
Have you spoken with Alex? Part of your meeting with Alex McCarthy, did you talk a lot about the need for a clean sheet?
I think we must pay attention that this topic of the clean sheet is a huge one, but it can help us, sure, because we show that we always we can score always, but I think we shouldn't make it too big, this topic, because otherwise you get a little bit cramped because you need it with all you have. So I think against Chelsea it came because we deserved to have a clean sheet in this game. We didn't give them a lot of chances, and so yeah. The same we did against Cardiff or against Burnley, but yeah, I think it's time.
There was an interview that you gave quite early in your tenure here to Build, where you quoted as saying that if Southampton didn't stay up, then effectively you would walk away because it would be seen as a failure on your part. Can you just clarify those comments? I mean, will your future be determined by whether Southampton stay up or go down?
Oh, sorry, but in the moment I don't think about this situation. I'm too focused on what we do every day and how we prepare this team. And if that comes the moment, then you can ask me this question from this dark corner here.